want to talk about Financial Fortress. I want to talk about what Financial Fortress truly is. Financial Fortress is something I've been working with for myself for 50 years, and I work with people to create theirs. As a general guide, Financial Fortress, I put some numbers because people think, what is Financial Fortress? What is financial independence? What is financial freedom? People have all sorts of ideas. To put it financially into some numbers, depending which state you live in, $1 million to 2 million in residential property for most people, it's sort of in the area. Now, for some states, that's like, a $500,000-$600,000 property. In other states, you start at $2 million. So whatever that is for you. The second part of Financial Fortress is $1 million to 2 million in commercial property. And the reason we use commercial because it has such a high yield, and it's a great marketplace to be in. I specialize in commercial property. Where I'm recording this, I own this. I own the one next door and the one across the way. I deal in commercial, have done for 30, 40 years. I've made a lot of money in commercial property. I find it's a higher yielding position than a residential. That means you get a higher rental. You get longer tenants, like 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. You get personal guarantees. It's just a better deal. Now, it's a skill. You got to learn what that is, and I get that. A lot of people don't understand commercial. I think it's risky. I think residential is more risky. I'm in both. I flip properties. I do both. I'm not saying that one's better than the other. I like people to start in residential property. However, they'll end up in commercial, I think. And when I say commercial, it's industrial buildings, office buildings, and even in some cases shops or, if you like, restaurants, things like that, higher risk areas. But depends who the operator are. We put a lot of franchises in those sorts of situations. So 1 to 2 million residential for yourself, 1 to 2 million in commercial, 1 to 2 million in your super fund, self-managed preferably. This is where it's a trust. It's a very effective tax area. It's got a lot of flexibility. It's about where your future belongs, and a current legislation. I'm not giving you financial advice here, but 10% is taxed on growth and when you sell something, and 15% on trading. So it's a very, very low taxed environment, self-managed super fund. Now, a lot of people go, I've only got $20,000. I've only got 100. I've got 50, A lot of people have never been shown how to do a self-managed super fund. A lot of people are not being taught this. In fact, it's not even in their radar. They think they can't even access the money till they're 65. And a lot of people, that'll be true. About 95% actually of the population. In fact, 95% have less than $100,000 in their super fund because they were never taught. They've just been working for money. And I know if you ask yourself the question, how much time was spent at school or at university explaining how to run a self-managed super fund, how much time was spent on how to buy a property, how much time was spent on how to start a business, how much time was spent on the most basic thing, creating a loan, how much time was spent on that? Usually nothing. You were just taught to get a job. In fact, I asked you the question, what did you really learn at school? What did you learn at university? So Financial Fortress, $1 million to 2 million in residential, $1 million to 2 million in commercial, $1 million to 2 million in super fund, and a $200,000-$300,000 income. That usually picks everybody up pretty well. Now that's between $3 and $6 million in assets. It's not $100 million. It's not the Taj Mahal. We have people who have more than that when they come and see us. We have a lot of people who don't even have the dollar. They have more debt than they've got assets. And, most people, are in one or two areas. They're renting or they're trying to buy a house. That's the majority of our population. I think the figure's something like 47% of people over 55, 60 years of age still have debt on their house, substantial debt, which many years ago it was like 20%. So we've got people going into retirement with debt. So we've got some serious issues here in this country with lack of that information. So building a financial fortress, to me is an extremely important thing. Now, some of you watching this may be young and you might think, it's got plenty of time. Amazing how quickly it goes. There's some in the middle range and they go, well, it's getting a bit tough. We've gone through all the mortgage stage and the kids, we're still in it. And then some of them business people and really can be struggling or having a good time. And then we've got our older groups who are going into their golden years, their retirement plan. And some of them don't have houses and To me, it doesn't matter where you are, what decision you make, and where you're going to go that counts. So I'm serious about building wealth for people and particularly giving up their scarcity. And I'm particularly interested in helping people who are serious about this. And I don't mind where you are. I deal with people who are bankrupt. I'm dealing with 3 right now this week. I'm dealing with people coming out of bankruptcy. I'm dealing with people who have bad credit. And it's not bring you or dying, bring you or sick. Anybody can change their circumstances by the decisions they make and how they focus. The only thing that grows in your life is what you focus on and what you give energy to. So if you're serious, I am. So drop us a line, come and see us, get some of the free gifts. And perhaps you could become an example for us. In other words, we're looking for examples to take people through. Whether you're a single mum, a retiree, a first home buyer, a person who's got a lot of properties. We have people who've got lots of properties and they're in minus. In other words, they're underwater. Their mortgages are greater than the purchase price because the market's gone against them. And we've got people who've got a lot of property and they're wondering what to do. So where are you? Where are you? We have 7 magic steps if you want to write these down. And the 7 steps are basically, where are you? And the 7 steps start with, firstly, your income. Secondly, your cash you've got. Thirdly, your assets. Fourthly, your spending. The 5th point, your credit. 6th, your super. 7th is your tax. Now, these are the dashboards of your life. Now, some people don't have an income. Some people have got a job and that's it. Some people have got businesses. Some have got... We teach 5 income streams, minimum. Second thing, cash. Cash is not necessarily good, but some people are so worried they've just got cash. They're so worried to spend. But some people don't have any cash. Most people have enough cash for a few weeks, maybe a month of their living. You really should have at least 3 months or redraw facilities for that. Some people have a house, some people don't. Some people are buying a house, some paying off. Always think, well, one day you'll be 65 if you're not already, and one day you'll need to be not working, and one day if you don't have an income stream outside of work, then you're going, not only are a pensioner, but you're going to be looking for a place to live. And then spending. If you're a serial spender, if you spend more than you earn, then that's going to be an issue too. So that's got to be dealt with, and we have a specific plan called strategic spending. And then credit. These days, if you don't have a credit card, you may have some real issues with just even getting into this country, getting into renting a car. A lot of companies now, they won't rent a car to you if you don't have a credit card because they want to see that you can pay the fine if you damage it, the insurance. And they say if you can't look after a very basic credit card, how are you going to look after their $40,000 car or whatever price it is? A lot of hotels won't let you in now to stay at their lovely place if you don't have a credit card. So credit worthiness is very important, and it goes beyond just credit worthiness. It goes beyond to be able to live in this world and have proper records for tax. To have a super fund, and we talked a little bit about that, to be able to run a super fund, to be able to understand that's your ultimate wealth plan. It's an important trust, and the tax department gives you great benefits here. And I can assure you, super funds are very, very important, and they can buy property, trade property, buy shares. Lots of things you can do with a super fund if you follow the rules. And understand, I'm not giving you financial advice here. We're just talking in general sense. And of course, tax, pay your tax, and tax is optional. You have options to minimize that legally. So what do we call that? That's called number 1, where am I? These 7 things. Number 2, where do I want to go? Where do I want to go next year? Where do I want to go in the next 3 years? What do I really want if I was wealthy? What are the things that block me from doing this? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to live? How do I want to have my life? How do I want to spend my time with my family? And then ultimately, how do I get there? Now, I say your job is to work out where are you and be honest about that. Second question, where do I want to go? And really, if you couldn't fail, is the question you want to ask, and make it realistic in the sense of that it's no good saying, I want $100 million in the Taj Mahal. Most people, when they write that, they say, well, what I want is a house. What I'd like is a car. I'd like to be able to travel sometimes. I'd like to be able to help my children, or, and I'd like to be healthy. Most people are very simple on what they really want. And in this country, we're one of the richest countries in the world, there's no reason why you can't have that. How to get there is, I'm going to suggest, as part of my problem, my challenge for you, my way of working this. And I have a lot of strategies, a lot of different ways. And I grew up in a place where I was not well taught. I came out of school without being able to read or write. I couldn't spell. And I now have a bunch of companies. I think 69 was the last look I looked. I think we've got more than that in entities. I own this building, I own next door, I own across the way. I own a lot of properties, and I have a very interesting life. I've got two beautiful children that I'm very grateful to have and spend my time with them, and a most amazing wife, the best wife one man could ever have on this planet. So I'm very grateful. So if I can do this, anyone can. Seriously, anyone can. This is not rocket science. There is a discipline that's required. There is a state management that's required. There is a wanting something, a desire, if you will. And it's not a question, well, I wanted this, so I had to give up that. No, no, no. You can have your family, you can have your life, you can have your financial freedom, and you can have your health and well-being, and you can have your spiritual connection. You can have it all, providing you're in state. So I'll leave you with that thought. Love to talk to you. Love to you come and talk to some of our team. We've got some free gifts if you want to check it out. Press the button, go and see something. Give us an email and we'll work with you. So I hope this has been valuable. Take care. Namaste to you. May you have a beautiful life, whether you work with us or not. But let's see if we can. Let's see if we can mentor you to the next level. The next 3 years are going to be very important. Let's make a step. And remember, you take a step to grace, grace will take 1,000 steps towards you. Today is the decision. Take a step towards grace. Take a step and come home. Get the life you want.